Hey guys, this is KSP with Tape, and today you join me for episode 7 of KSP Outer Planets, and today we're really launching into mining operations, and we'll start with a launch. Haha, launching it, I'm so smart. Anyway, we're using another one of my Saturn V type rockets, which is totally not really of my design. The people at KW Rocketry pretty much built some really nice parts that you can just throw together and get yourself a KSP size Saturn V, which is nice. And we're launching the drive section of the miner, which I'm sending to Slate. Yes, if you remember, I've decided to launch big missions to Slate, which is probably wildly misguided. Can't talk today. Because Slate is basically like Tylo, but a little bigger and way further away, so incredibly hard to land things on, as we may discover today. So yeah, anyway, using my largest of rockets, we're going to place the first section of this in orbit, and there are two sections to this miner. The miner itself, which has all of its landing things, and the drive section, which will push it out to Slate, yeah, which is on this rocket right now, because it's the drive sections are 70 tons, and the miner's 70 tons, so that's pretty much the kind of thing you kind of need to land a decent-sized miner on Slate, and the mining parts in KSP are pretty much just one size, like you get one drill, one ISRU, that sort of thing, whereas in like mods like Keythane you could send some smaller stuff, which was nice, but, well, I guess, well, those were, I mean, the mining parts have just been added. I would like to see more mining parts, actually. So yeah, here we are with our big ol' miner drive section. You can see it's 4 nuclear engines and just a bunch of liquid fuel jet fuselages. It would be nice if they added some bigger just liquid fuel stuff, because right now there's pretty much one tank that's like reasonably dense and will hold just liquid fuel, because the fuselage sections on planes obviously aren't all fuel, or you couldn't really build a nice decent sized plane that wasn't infinitely heavy. So yeah, anyway, here it is all in space, and just flicking through some parts and decoupling some. Oh yeah, you can see there's the actual the control for the launch vehicle, because I usually launch a separate probe in the vehicle, so I'm not controlling it from the payload, which, I don't know. Which means I have just Kessler syndrome gone mad right now. There's tons of probes and debris all around things. Anyway, now I'm launching the mining section on another same sort of rocket. Yeah, this is actually the miner. Ooh, bit of glitchiness in the footage right there. I'm not sure if that'll come out, but maybe. We can blame Bandicam or something for that. I will just skip through this launch because it's literally just the same as the last one. I went a little steeper, and I'm just going to jump right to the docking, because it's already a long enough video. The docking did actually take me well, the docking didn't take that long. I did it reasonably well, I think. I lined up, did my standard liney up thing, which you can see in past videos, but the rendezvous took ages because these are massive vehicles with tiny amounts of thrust, and I actually ended up burning some of the fuel from the actual miner, which was probably foolish, really, to actually burn some of your landing fuel for a docking, and there's no way to really refuel this effectively, but still, we will be sending it on its way, but of course we don't really know where the resources are on Slate. We sent a little probe to try and scan it, but I think I sent the wrong scanner or something, so we will have to send something else. You can see I've got some fuel cells on here, because when I get to Slate there will not really be enough sunlight, and since this mines fuel, I can spend some of the fuel it mines to power it. Hopefully it will be enough. And I didn't really want to just cover this in RTGs. It's already running slowly enough, which is actually really weird because it's less than 100 parts. I think my computer is actually dying. I might have to do something about that at some point, because it's a very processor-intensive game, and my process is a little bit worse for wear these days. Anyway, just deploy those big old radiators, and you can get a good look at it in the light, and it's quickly taken away from you, so we can launch our probe, our scanner. This is on my, I think I've called this the Series 1 vehicle. I finally named it. I've used this a ton of times in this series. I really like it. It's my 3-stage rocket. It's really good for putting probes around Sarnus and Slate and things, because it's a pretty beefy rocket, and it has that nuclear stage up top, so it really can take a decent payload. I'm not sure the exact payload it can take to Slate, but a decent enough to send a few probes. So yeah, there is also a third vehicle in the works for a crewed launch. I was actually planning on using my shuttle I've been working on, but I don't know if it's actually particularly viable. So I might just design a smaller rocket to put crew on the thing. Because of course we have our Pandora spacecraft waiting in orbit for crew to be sent to. It actually isn't finished yet, so it'll be a while before any crew get in it. Yeah. So let's just burn this into orbit. Very little control systems on this, so I am having a little trouble keeping it lined up. But there's an engine that gimbals, so... Anyway, get rid of those fairings. And you can see the probe, the big scanner up top, and there's just lots of bits around it. There's some RCS, a small liquid fuel oxidizer drive section, and some RTGs. It's pretty simple. But yeah, this definitely has a Delta V to get out to Slate. I'm not entirely sure about the miner, but it can at least get there, so if the worst comes to the worst, I guess I can refuel it. But anyway, the maneuver is actually 47 minutes from now. Total accident, launched in the exact transfer window, which actually means that the maneuver I planned totally with MechJeb, because, you know, to Slate with, to Sarnas with the miner, I've actually passed that. I thought it was 4 hours from now. Apparently it's not. So I'll just plan that myself, because I know we're in the right position. That's pretty much why I use the MechJeb thing, is because I don't really know the phase angle, and rather than just like noting it down, I just keep using MechJeb, because MechJeb does a really good job of it, and it makes it easier. This is still at 4 times time accelerate, just because, you know, the frame rates were fine on this. It's quite a small craft. I'm not entirely sure why the frame rates are so bad on the miner, but they are, so... Yay! Anyway, get rid of the second stage, which usually pushes me a little bit of the way to Slate, so that I can save a little bit of fuel, and then onto the nuclear stage. Just push ourselves all the way out. It's a pretty quick burn because it's a pretty light payload, and I have 2 nuclear engines. The miner may be a little slower since it's a 140-ton spacecraft being powered by 4 nuclear engines, but there comes a point where if you use too many nuclear engines, it's just ridiculous, because they're really heavy, so it's better to just take your time, really, is just all I'll say. So yeah, that is that. And yeah, looks like we have pretty good trajectory. And then we'll just make a quick plane change. You'll see that later. I usually cut out planning because, I mean, you know what that looks like. And if you don't, maybe I should leave it in. But it's already pretty long videos. I like to just keep the action in. Yeah. Not a massively action-packed episode, I will say that much. But, you know, we're doing a lot of things. Anyway, you can see here that I have my maneuver planned, and it's gonna take a long time. And I've already passed the point where I really should start my burn. And if I was going to start my burn here, I would be pointing like directly at Kerbin, so that probably wouldn't be that good. So yeah, I'm just pretty much gonna just wait later and just burn, forgetting about where I am around Kerbin. It might screw up my angle, but it should be fine. It'll probably use a little more fuel. And you can see I've attached those RCS things right now, because those were just for the docking. I don't really need them. Then I burn right into them and try and avoid my radiators being smashed up by RCS tanks. But they just tumble down the side of the spacecraft. And it's of course, it's only space travel. It's fine for things to cascade down your incredibly expensive, gigantic 140-ton spacecraft. Yeah, those they do look cool though, just bouncing off. I really did like that scene. Anyway, so yeah, I actually wait a while before I do my burn. This is actually just kind of a preliminary burn to see how long it'll take. But anyway, here's me a little later carrying out the burn. Gone way past my maneuver node, but I'm just kind of forgetting about using the O-berth effect at this point. And just burning way off prograde. A little inefficient, but I have brought a little extra Delta V, but I'm kind of starting to think it might not be enough. We got a nice beauty shot of the sun rising over Kerbin, always rather beautiful. You can see my radiators are really heating up, but they're made just to keep the miner cool on Slate, not to keep the massive nuclear drive section cool. But they do the job, I guess. And we get a nice little shot of us leaving for Sarnas. In 5 years we will arrive and hopefully land. Although, yeah, I did really overburn on Delta V. You can see here I'm just still finishing off my maneuver, and yeah, I'm running quite low on Delta V. Obviously those numbers on the Delta V window probably don't mean a huge amount to you, because you might not know how much Delta V it takes to land and how much Delta V I had and things, but it's lower than it should be, is just the thing. Anyway, What are we looking at now? It looks like us just pretty much finishing off our burn. Oh yeah, we're just about to get our orbit out to Sarnus. And you can see the other planets out there. We've got, I think Erlem is the next one. Oh no, that would be... Yeah, Erlem, Uranus, surely. One of them's... what's the other one called? Let's see how that... What's the freaking... I've forgotten the name of... it'll be like Neptune. So Needon, that's what it's called. We've got... yeah, we've got Uranus and Needon there, and you can just see the very far away orbit of Plock, I believe it is. They basically use the same first letters of the real planets to put them in there. But you can see how difficult it would be to get to the really outer planets. Maybe I'll send a probe one day. But this is more really about Sarnus and Slate at this point. I want to do a big mission there. That's kind of the main goal of this series. It's not. Oh, it's probably not going to be a massively long series because I just want to do a few missions and then maybe do a little more exploration. I just really wanted to take a really detailed look at this mod because I really like it. It's awesome, really. So yeah. Anyway, we are getting ourselves our maneuver all the way out there, and it looks we're just about to cross the path of Sarnus, and that looks pretty good. It actually is very good. Anyway, up to our plane change, and turns out the nuclear engines had been burning fuel from the lander stage. So that delta V readout is even more wrong than it should be. It says I have 600 meters delta V in the transfer stage. It's more like 300. And I've skipped ahead to where I'm actually doing the burn. Again, took freaking ages, and I'm down to 2 engines. But yeah, kind of problematic vehicle. Oh yeah, and then I thought one of the engines flamed out there, but I'm down to 2. So yeah. Where are we now? Oh yeah, there's where the engine burns out. So I was a little confused. One of the engines burns out, but it's fine because the other one just kind of does whatever. I'm just going to leave this transfer stage behind. I didn't really figure out what would be more efficient, but all I knew was I didn't really want to carry a bunch of dead weight of oxidizer to the surface. So yeah, we're just going to carry on with the miner and just try and get it to Slate at this point. I'm almost 1,000% sure it doesn't have enough delta V to land, because I'm pretty sure safely you want about 4,000 meters a second delta V to land on Slate. And I think the same goes for Tylo if you're landing on Tylo. And it says 2,000 delta V, but that's because I haven't activated the other 2 engines. And I do now, just to see how much delta V I actually have. And it's about 3,700, so not far off. This lander probably would have been able to do it if I had burned no fuel from it, and that was the plan, but I burned a little in the encounter, and now I've got to burn a little more because I messed up my transfer stage, which initially had about 3,000 meters a second delta V, and I think I literally just wasted about 500 meters a second of its transfer just by burning the wrong sort of way, by being inefficient or using the Oberth effect. And yeah, so that's kind of screwed me up. But it can definitely get to Slate, is the thing. I'm not sure whether I'm going to slam it into the surface just to get a bit of a test in or wait for a refuel. Probably the second one. I'm a little more rational than that. I know it's not particularly clear from everything I say and do, but I'm a little more rational than that. Anyway, now the probe, a few days later, I think about a week later, has to do its plane change. Much more simple. I've got a lot of experience of sending probes on this vehicle out to this planet, so yeah, I'm pretty confident. I actually save a little bit of delta V by not finishing off this burn, because I actually don't want it to be where the maneuver sets me. I want it to be in line with Sarnus. So I save 35 meters a second of delta V, which is always nice, because no matter how well you plan, these missions are always pretty fine cut, because Sarnus is really far away. I mean, yeah. Anyway, we've got a couple more maneuvers. I thought I'd just show you where they are. The miner will arrive about a year later than the probe, which is really good, because that gives me a lot of time to figure things out. That is a Kerbal year, so that's like 100 days? No, it's less than 100 real days. I don't know, it's not that long. But yeah, it just gives me a little extra time. And now I'm doing my little fine-tune with the probe, which will bring me close to Sarnus, so I can slow down and get my encounter. I did have some complicated idea where I'd use a gravity assist with the miner so that I could get some negative velocity off Elu, which is now in orbit of Sarnis. But it didn't really work out, so I just decided to just do it kind of normally, get close to Sarnis, bring myself into an orbit, and then just put myself on sort of like on the correct plane and just get into orbit of Slate. So yeah, some of my fun ideas of flinging myself around lots of moons to try and slow myself down without using any fuel fell apart. But it is possible, because if you go around one of the moons the right way, it'll speed you up in the opposite direction, but it's very hard to get that maneuver, that position. So yeah, I'm not adept enough, I guess, at space travel to do that. Anyway, this is currently going to hit Sarnis, but that's a problem I'm going to solve later, because I don't really want to turn this spacecraft around, and yeah, it's a lot of work. Anyway, let's just bring the probe in. You can see they arrive at very different times. That was slightly planned, but obviously plans kind of fall apart when you do dumb stuff like I did with the Slate miner, but I think I actually put it even further away. Anyway, here is the probe at Slate, and not at Slate, at Sarnis, and we get this just amazing shot of the rings kind of vertically above and Sarnis below, and that little moon there, I believe that's Slate. Just love some of the shots you get with a planet with rings. There really needs to be a planet with rings in the stock game. You don't get shots like this without planets with rings. Yeah, really beautiful. And when you actually go up to the rings, kind of crappy. They're just like a 2D thing, because how the hell are you going to model that in KSP? So, yeah. And I really do actually at some point want to put a little tiny probe on the tiny bit of rock that does orbit inside the rings. You can see it just marked there. Anyway, let's just slow ourselves down, burn out this transfer stage, leave it in orbit of Sarnis, give it a little more Kessler syndrome. Not a problem around Sarnis yet, but I should really just do a shot of my Kerbal at some point with all the debris turned on. There's a lot of stuff. It makes it really difficult to transfer to probes because, like, the problem is I always use an extra probe on the launch vehicle so that I can just control the launch vehicle, and the probe can be, and like the payload can be dead because the payload might be shaky and wobbly. So there's tons of things named the wrong thing in orbit. It makes it just maddening. But I love it because I one day want to just get taken out by some debris. I want a gravity type situation, but probably with a better storyline, because I mean Kerbal Space Program by itself has a better story. No, the storyline was fine. It was just a lot of annoying things in Gravity. I know it's an old film, but it still kind of pisses me off. I watched it on an airplane, which was probably bad. But just how the commander of the mission was like, oh yeah, you go home by burning towards the ground. It's like, no, you don't, though. That's such a bad way to go home. And how he has to explain to the medical officer that what she's feeling is her running out of oxygen. It's like, yeah, no shit, I have a medical degree. And no, she has a PhD, she's a doctor, right? Oh, Jesus. And, like, dumb bullshit, like, her just randomly pressing buttons in the Soyuz, the Chinese Soyuz, so that she just, like, figures it out. Oh, God. And how the station and the Hubble Space Telescope, which are about 200 miles apart, at their closest approach were 100 miles apart, and how there was a random Chinese station about 100 miles away again. Oh, that fucking film, man. Anyway, we finish off our burn, also using the RCS, because I brought way too much RCS, so I thought I might as well burn it. Will be good for maneuvers if I ever need to make them. But yeah, and I do like this probe. I like the circle of radiators as well. I love radiators in KSP. I know it kind of adds a kind of difficult overheating situation, but that's good. I like a little realism, and stations look amazing with big radiators. So yeah, anyway, let's go to Slate. Click ahead, and yeah, we're already at Slate. That actually got me my encounter, that burn. Pretty good, pretty well planned, Peter. That was a weird voice, I apologise for that. But yeah, that got us pretty close to Slate, and now I'm actually in orbit on a trajectory to pass Slate, so I'm just going to move myself closer to Slate so that I'm in range for my big ol' scanner, and then yeah, get myself into orbit. So yeah, pretty productive episode. I will be landing bringing the miner in. I've decided not to try and land it. I was just going to try and land it and probably crash it just to get a bit more of a feel for Slate, but next episode I have to send a couple of things here anyway, which you'll see in a second. And I'll just send a little refuel with a little claw. I like that the claw's there. I know it's really bad form to refuel something with the claw, because you like grab its fuel tank, pierce it, fuck it all up. But I don't know. This is a very KSP series. I'm not going for massive realism. So anyway, into 4 times time accelerate for just our little orbital burn, just to keep the time down a little bit. And yeah, pretty nice. And we actually came in inclined. That actually wasn't planned. That was just fortuitous. So yeah, pretty good. This is definitely the only probe that looks like it's in a professional orbit. The other kind of scanner that doesn't work, you can see just above my probe, in the highly elliptical orbit. That was put there, kind of ran out of fuel. It was an afterthought, and the other one was the first probe I sent. But this is professional. It's called, I think, SSC1, the Slate... Oh no, it's SSC1? Slate Surface... Scanner? Maybe it should be SSS1, like Slate Surface Scanner. I'm not very smart. I think... Why did I call it SSC? I don't recall. Well, whatever. It's called SSC1. It's something smart. I don't really recall. Maybe I just thought scanner started with a C? I don't know. Anyway, but when I do go to scan the surface, the problems ensue. Apparently, you need a antenna on here, like a dish, to transmit the data home. Didn't bring one of them, so my nice successful probe is fucking useless. So next episode we'll be sending a replacement one of these, probably the exact same thing with a scanner, and we'll be getting the miner into orbit and sending a refuel for it, because yay, it needs more fuel to land. And I didn't want to send a new freaking miner, because that'd just be pointless. So yeah, we'll just send some fuel and a new probe. I hope you've enjoyed this. Not a particularly productive episode, but lots of nice beauty shots and lots of nice rockets and stuff. Anyway, like I said, I hope you've enjoyed this. This has been KSP with Tape. I'll see you next time.